is a rhythm to destiny, a sacred timing that no human hand can rush, no anxious heart can alter. Love, real love, the kind that is ordained, the kind that is woven into the very fabric of your being, moves according to divine orchestration. You may feel the waiting stretch like an endless horizon, but what if the silence is not rejection, but preparation? What if your kingdom spouse already knows, already senses, already feels the pull of God aligning your hearts across the distance of time and space? Patience is not a passive thing. It is an act of faith, a deep surrender to the wisdom of the one who sees the end from the beginning. Do not mistake stillness for absence. Even when nothing seems to move, heaven is at work. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting in purpose. And when the appointed hour arrives, what is meant for you will know exactly where to find you. There is a moment in every believer's life when the weight of waiting feels unbearable, when the heart cries out, Lord, how much longer? And silence seems to be the only response. The world tells you that if something doesn't happen quickly, it's not happening at all. But God does not move according to the ticking hands of a man-made clock. His timing is sovereign, strategic, and sacred. What seems like delay is divine preparation. What appears to be stagnation is actually alignment. We serve a God who is never late, never early, but always right on time. The problem is we often measure time by human standards, by age, by seasons, by societal expectations. But God operates on an eternal timeline, a divine orchestration that moves with precision beyond what we can see. And when it comes to the one he has chosen for you, the one your soul is longing for, you must understand that this process cannot be rushed. God is not merely bringing two people together. He is building something unshakable. Imagine a sculptor working on a masterpiece. With every strike of the chisel, what was once a rough, unformed stone begins to take shape. But that shaping process requires pressure, requires patience, requires vision. God is sculpting you and your kingdom spouse, refining every edge, smoothing every imperfection, ensuring that when the two of you meet, you are not just ready for love, you are ready for purpose. Because this is not just about romance, this is about destiny. You see, the love story God is writing for you is not a rushed manuscript filled with corrections and regrets. It is a narrative carefully woven with moments of divine intervention where he is aligning hearts, redirecting paths, and preparing both of you for a union that will reflect his glory. If you try to step ahead of him, you risk disrupting what he is doing behind the scenes. Sometimes we think waiting means God has forgotten us. But what if I told you that your waiting is proof that he remembers, that he is working out every detail so that when the appointed time comes, nothing and no one can stand in the way of what he has destined. God is not just preparing your spouse, he is preparing you. He is breaking generational cycles, healing wounds you didn't know you had, stretching your faith and strengthening your spirit so that when the moment arrives, you will not be just another person in love, but a vessel of divine partnership. There is a reason why the enemy wants you to grow impatient. There is a reason why distractions and counterfeits show up along the way, offering an easier, quicker path, because the enemy knows that the right person at the right time under God's divine alignment is a force that cannot be stopped. The enemy knows that a kingdom relationship is not just about two people. It is about impact, about purpose, about bringing forth something that will shake the very foundations of darkness. That is why he wants you discouraged, settling for less, stepping outside of divine timing. But I urge you today, wait, not with frustration, but with expectation, not with doubt, but with faith. Isaiah 40:31 tells us, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." The wait is not designed to break you. It is designed to build you. It is in the waiting that your faith is tested, your character is refined, and your trust in God is deepened. If you are in a season where it feels like nothing is moving, like your prayers are hanging in the air unanswered, let me remind you, divine timing is not delayed timing. The same God who orchestrates the rising and setting of the sun, who tells the ocean where to stop and the stars where to shine, is the same God who has marked the exact moment when your path and your spouse's path will collide. And when it happens, you will not have to force it, manipulate it, or chase it. It will be undeniable. It will be God. So what do? In the meantime, you prepare. You focus on what he has called you to do. You develop yourself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. You surrender your timeline to his perfect plan. Because when the time comes, you will see that every moment of waiting was worth it. And when that moment arrives, when you step into the promise and see what he has been preparing all along, you will look back at this season of waiting not with regret, but with gratitude, because you will know without a shadow of a doubt that divine timing is not delayed timing. It is the perfect time set by the hands of the one who holds eternity itself. Trust him. Wait on him, because what he has for you is worth it. There comes a moment in your journey where the waiting feels unbearable, the silence is deafening, the questions are unrelenting, and your heart wrestles with uncertainty. You wonder, do they know? Do they see? Have I mistaken this for something it was never meant to be? And yet, even in the face of doubt, something deeper within refuses to let go. It is not mere emotion, not just human longing. It is the whisper of the divine anchoring you to a truth beyond your understanding. When God has ordained a union, he will set signs along the path, markers of reassurance, signals that transcend the natural eye. But the waiting is not just about them realizing, it is about you becoming. Waiting is one of the greatest tests of faith. It is in the waiting that refinement happens, that your heart is prepared to carry the weight of what is to come. Impatience is the enemy's invitation to move ahead of God's timing, to grasp at what is not yet fully formed. But divine love is not built on desperation, it is built on preparation. And so you must trust that God is not just working on them, he is working. He is stripping away fear, insecurity, the remnants of past disappointments, so that when the moment of recognition comes, you will not shrink back in doubt, but stand firm in the confidence of his promise. Consider the story of Ruth. She did not chase after Boaz. She positioned herself in obedience. She walked with integrity. She allowed the process of God to unfold naturally, trusting that he would reveal what was meant for her in his perfect time. If God has spoken to your spirit about someone, if the conviction lingers even when logic tells you to move on, then perhaps this is not just a matter of emotion, it is a matter of alignment. But alignment does not require striving. It does not require forcing. It requires surrender. When God brings two people together, there will be confirmation, but it will not come through manipulation, through pleading, or through trying to make someone see what only God can reveal. It will come through divine orchestration, through doors opening that no man can shut, through a peace that surpasses understanding. You do not need to make them recognize what God has already placed within them. if they are truly your kingdom spouse. They will know. They may not know instantly. They may battle their own fears and uncertainties, but what is from God cannot be ignored forever. When the time is right, revelation will pierce through doubt, and what has been hidden will be brought into the light. So what do you do in the waiting? You do not wait passively. You do not sit idly by, measuring time, counting moments, wondering when they will wake up and see. No, you wait with purpose. You build, you grow, you deepen your relationship with God so that when love does come, it does not become an idol, but remains an extension of divine purpose. You prepare yourself to be a spouse before you ever step into marriage. You cultivate faithfulness in the unseen, devotion in the quiet, love in the small things. Because when the moment arrives, when God speaks to them, when recognition dawns in their spirit, you will not have to chase. You will not have to convince. You will simply step into what has already been written. Do not allow the enemy to turn the waiting into warfare against yourself. Do not let him plant seeds of doubt that make you question your worth, your value, your lovability. You are not waiting because you are lacking. You are waiting because you are chosen. And chosen things take time. Precious things are not rushed. The world tells you to settle, to grab hold of whatever comes first, to lower your expectations in fear that what you desire will never come. But the world does not understand the way God moves. His ways are higher, his timing is perfect, and his promises do not return void. So breathe. Rest in him. The one God has for you will know. They will see. They will be drawn not by force, but by revelation. And when that moment comes, it will be undeniable. Until then, be patient. Trust the process. And above all, trust the one who holds it all together. Because he is never late. He is never mistaken. And he is never wrong about you. There is a waiting season that feels like an eternity, a space between the promise and the fulfillment where your faith is stretched and your patience is tested. You see, when God has ordained someone to be your kingdom spouse, there is a divine orchestration at play that you cannot rush. It is not just about you knowing. It is about the Spirit of God working within them, preparing their heart, aligning their mind, and readying their soul to fully embrace what he has set before them. And this process, this sacred unfolding, is not meant to frustrate you. In this waiting, many will question, many will doubt, and some will even walk away, mistaking delay for denial, silence for absence. But listen carefully, delay is often God's design. Silence is sometimes his strategy. Because what God is doing is bigger than just bringing two people together. He is constructing something eternal, a foundation that will not crumble when the winds of life blow, a bond that will not break when trials come, a love that is not built on mere emotion but on divine intention. This waiting season is not about passively hoping. It is not about simply sitting in expectation, wondering when they will finally see what you already know. No, this is a season of transformation, of becoming, of surrendering every ounce of impatience, every trace of fear, and every shadow of doubt at the feet of the one who writes the most intricate love stories. Because if he has promised, then it shall be. But what good is a promise if you are not prepared for it? What good is a blessing if you are not ready to receive it? What good is a covenant if both hearts are not wholly surrendered to the one who ordains it? Let's look at the refining fire that waiting brings. It exposes the impurities in our hearts. It brings forth the hidden places where insecurity, control, and fear still linger. Waiting is never just about them. It is about you. It is about what God is shaping in you, what he is uprooting from you, and what he is planting within you. Because when the time comes, when the veil is lifted and your kingdom spouse steps into full awareness, they will not be looking for someone who is merely waiting. They will be looking for someone who has been transformed in the waiting. Someone who has become, someone who has surrendered. So I ask you, can you trust the process even when you cannot see the outcome? Can you rest in divine timing even when it feels like time is slipping away? Can you stand firm in faith, believing that what God has spoken will manifest in the appointed time? Because he is not just preparing them, he is preparing you. And when the moment comes, when the revelation dawns upon their heart, they will not hesitate, they will not waver, they will know. And when they know, you will understand why the waiting was necessary. The waiting is not a punishment, it is a preparation. And when God finally moves, it will not just be a love story, it will be a testimony. There is a weight in waiting that can feel unbearable. A tension between knowing what your heart desires and wondering why it has yet to come to pass. But the truth is, timing is not your burden to carry. It belongs to the one who authored time itself. The one who sees the end from the beginning, who orchestrates the movements of the universe, who aligns destinies with the precision of a master craftsman. And yet, in our limited understanding, we try to force what was meant to flow. We rush what was meant to unfold. We cling to control when we should be surrendering to trust. But trust is not passive. It is the most active expression of faith. It is a declaration that you believe in what you cannot see, that you stand on a promise even when the path ahead looks uncertain. So often we believe delay means denial. We assume that because something is not happening in our time, it must not be happening at all. But have you ever considered that the waiting is not punishment, but preparation? That the very thing you are longing for is being refined even as you wait. That your kingdom spouse is not just someone to receive, but someone to be ready for. What if the reason you are waiting is not because you have been forgotten, but because you have been set apart? What if this season is shaping you for the blessing that is too great for where you are now? What if the wait is evidence of divine love, not divine distance? The world moves fast, and it teaches us to rush, to chase, to grasp, to claim what we think is ours before it slips away. But divine love is not built on desperation. It is not rooted in haste. It is steady. It is intentional. It is a love that says, I have gone before you. I have made the way. I have prepared a table for you in due season. But will you trust that? Will you trust that what is meant for you cannot pass you by? That what has been divinely ordained is not something you have to strive for, but something that will arrive in its appointed time. Waiting does not mean inactivity. It is not sitting idly by hoping something shifts. Waiting is a season of becoming. It is where patience is strengthened, where faith is fortified, where identity is rooted, so that when the promise arrives, you are not just ready to receive it. Do not despise the waiting. Do not allow impatience to birth something premature, because what is meant to last a lifetime cannot be rushed into existence. It must be cultivated, nurtured, prepared in the depths before it is revealed in the light. Your kingdom spouse is on their journey just as you are on yours. And the same God who placed that knowing in your spirit is the same God who is guiding them toward you. Let patience have its perfect work. Let faith hold you steady. Let time be the servant of divine purpose, not the master of your fears. Because when it is time, no force in heaven or on earth will be able to stop what has already been written. Now stand still, be faithful, trust the author. What is meant for you is already yours. There comes a moment in every journey where faith is tested, where the road stretches long and the promise feels distant. It is in this place, this in-between, that many grow weary. The waiting seems endless, the silence heavy, and the temptation to doubt becomes louder than the assurance of the promise. But hear this. The promise was never meant to be obtained by sight. It was never meant to be something you could grasp with human understanding. It has always been about faith. Faith that endures beyond the delay. Faith that holds steady when nothing makes sense. Faith that moves mountains even when they seem immovable. Faith and obedience are intertwined. You cannot claim to trust while walking in disobedience. You cannot declare belief while attempting to forge your own path outside of divine instruction. There is a process that must be honored, a journey that must be walked in alignment, and while it may not always make sense, obedience is the key that unlocks the promise. Think of Abraham. He was given a promise so vast it seemed impossible that he would be the father of many nations, and yet years passed and the promise had not yet been fulfilled. In that space of waiting, he could have chosen to abandon what was spoken. He could have decided that the silence was evidence that God had changed his mind. But instead, Abraham believed, he trusted, and it was that faith, that unwavering, unshaken trust that was counted as righteousness. Your journey is no different. The promise spoken over your life, the one that lingers in your spirit, the one that keeps resurfacing no matter how much time passes. It is not just a passing thought. It is not just wishful thinking. It is a divine assignment. And just because it has not yet come to pass does not mean it has been forgotten. But the question is, will you remain faithful? Will you obey even when obedience feels costly? Will you trust when trust requires you to surrender your timeline, your expectations, your need for control? The road to the promise is not easy, but it is necessary. It refines, it strengthens, it prepares, because when what you are waiting for finally arrives, you will need the endurance that was built in the waiting. You will need the wisdom that was cultivated in the silence. You will need the spiritual maturity that was forged in the fire of faithfulness. What you carry is not ordinary. The love that has been assigned to you, the relationship that has been divinely ordained, it is not common. It is not something that can be rushed into. It is something that must be stewarded with great care. And that is why the process is so important. That is why the obedience is so necessary. Because when the time comes, you won't just step into a relationship, you will step into a destiny that has been prepared for such a time as this. Do not grow weary, do not lose heart. What has been spoken will come to pass, but it will come to pass in the fullness of time. Not a moment sooner, not a moment later. Your obedience is positioning you. Your faith is aligning you. Your trust is unlocking the very thing you have been praying for. Stay the course. Keep believing, keep walking, because in the end you will see that every step of obedience was leading you towards something far greater than you could have ever imagined. And when that moment comes, when the promise is finally fulfilled, you will not question the journey. You will not regret the waiting. You will not wish it had happened sooner, because you will see with clarity that the timing, the process, the unfolding, it was perfect. Now stand firm, stay faithful. Your obedience is bringing the promise